Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to our Lumio Palooza global event where we are providing fun, fresh PD opportunities highlighting how Lumio can provide a fluid workflow that benefits teachers and students. We will show you how to create lessons and activities focused on a variety of topics, including classroom instructional strategies. My name is Asha, and I'm a customer success manager for Smart, coming to you live from Orlando, Florida. This webinar that you're in right now, Illuminate Your Staff Development, features Leigh Arnold, Dan Shinneman, and Noel Elvir from Palm Beach County School District's EdTech team. We encourage your participation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat while the presentation is going, and we will either integrate them into the flow or hold them to be answered during the Q&A period at the end. We will be sharing resources from today's webinar in the chat as well. And for participating, a certificate will be provided after you complete a brief survey. Today's session is being recorded, so no worries if you can't stay the whole time or you don't remember everything that's being shared. You will have access to a recording that will be sent out via email early next week. We would love for you to share what you learned from today's session on social media, along with the graphic that I'll be placing in the chat. You can tag at Lumio Social and include the hashtag Lumio Challenge and Lumio Palooza. At this point, I'm going to turn things over to Leigh, Dan, and Noel so that we can get started with our session, Illuminate Your Staff Development.
Take it away, guys. Woohoo! Thank you, Asha. We're so excited for everyone to be here today, whether it's good morning or good afternoon. We're excited to have you. So before we begin, we would love to get you into our class so we can show and share and work together on this awesome session. So you can use the QR code on the screen. You can also log into Hello Smart using the class ID that you can see on my screen, but it will also be at the very bottom. You can see the class ID 222875. And I don't know about you, but I love my class ID number, easy to work with students. I see a bunch of us are logging in, so we'll give it just a few more minutes. And I appreciate all of you guys willing to participate in our session today, which is Illuminate Your Staff Development Empowerment through Lumio. We'll give it about 30 more seconds for those of us to log in. Remember, if you wanted to see your participants, you'd come over to the left. You can see here, I see a whole list of people. Oh, I might possibly see some people that we work with, which is pretty cool. So we appreciate all of those signing in. All right, if you're still logging on, I still have the class ID at the bottom for your reference. So, like Asha said, my name is Leigh Arnold. We have Noel and Dan, all from the EdTech department of the beautiful school district of Palm Beach County, Florida. We are hot, we are humid, and we are going to rock your socks off with today's session. So we hope you are ready to rock and roll. Those are our contact information. So if you do have questions at the end and you want to reach out, we are more than happy to help. So our agenda for this session is to learn how to use Lumio to enhance engagement with adult learners. So yes, Lumio is fantastic for your students, but it's not just for your students. We want to show you all the possibilities and ways that we use it in Palm Beach County. We're going to make you interact, and you're going to experience all of these collaborative workspaces and how you can use them in your profession, even if it's just with your grade level and your colleagues. We will then have you reflect and see how you are going to be able to engage your staff with learning and collaborating all within inside Lumio. So we are ready to get started. And again, thank you for being here. Noel, take it away.
All right. So welcome, everyone. It was so exciting to see so many of you joining, many from Europe, and that's really exciting for me to see. So what you're going to see today are some things that we do here in our district in Palm Beach County. We're going to kick this session off with a welcoming ritual. And we do this really to just engage the audience and determine how you're feeling, kind of set the tone. A lot of teachers do this in their classrooms. So here we all know, well, I would imagine most of us are on summer vacation, summer break of some sort. So go ahead and drag a party hat from the box of party hats to the emoji that you're most connecting with this summer break. I know I haven't taken vacation yet. We're about to set on our way to where, excuse me, where Asha is in Orlando. And so I'll have my suitcase packed here shortly. I see a couple people have their suitcases packed. Many are reading. I've been doing a lot of that myself. So this is just a fun way to kind of gauge your audience and see how you're feeling. You can do this for a lot of different purposes, kind of set the tone for the day when students are coming into the classroom, or gauge how your audience knows about a particular topic that you're going to be discussing, and we'll see that in just a minute. So I don't have control of the slides right now, but Leigh can show you on her end how she can kind of edit this so that everybody can change the party hats, or see who added the party hats, or take the editing off up in the top right corner so that no one else can drag any more party hats around on the screen. So that kind of gives you an idea of how that works.
And you can see
All
the
right.
person I selected is Dan, and he's already on our level, ready to participate.
What are the chances that you pick Dan's? All right. So why would we use Lumio with adult learners? Well, just like in our classrooms, we want to engage our students and get them participating and interacting with each other. And that's always a great thing to do with adult learners too. No one wants to sit there and listen and do nothing. The more you can apply the skills as you're learning, the more you're ready to take those back to your classroom and apply them in your work. Increasing your collaboration with staff, that's always a great opportunity. Get the brains working together on a joint project. You can do that in Lumio. You don't have to do it on paper, on chart paper. Those days are gone. And the more we do training with Lumio in ways that we can show them how to increase participation, collaboration, and tools to engage their learners. If we do that with adults, they're more likely to take it back to their classroom and use it with their students. So those are just a couple reasons why we think Lumio with adult learners is really effective. This is definitely not an exhaustive list of how we can use Lumio to engage adult learners, but these are some ideas that we came up with. We'd love to see in the chat if you can think of other ways, or maybe you've used Lumio with adult learners. Definitely with professional development, we love any opportunity to get participants engaged with each other and interacting. No one wants that sit and get professional development. Definitely an opportunity. We're getting ready to gear up for back to school here in the next few weeks. So perfect opportunity when you're welcoming teachers back on campus. You're doing a leadership meeting or a team meeting just with your grade level. You can certainly put in some opportunities for your adult learners in Lumio, or just talk about ways you can bring Lumio into the classroom. Parent nights, there's great opportunities to share Lumio with parents as well. With translation features for multilingual parents, that's another opportunity we have within Lumio. So if you have any ideas, you can share in the chat. We'd love to see how you're using it. All right. So infinite cloner, what you saw with the party hats was an infinite cloner. And this is great if you want to kind of gauge your audience and see where they are rating themselves on a particular topic, or maybe you have like a temperature gauge and you want to see, are you feeling good about this? You're not feeling too good about this. It's just an opportunity for you to kind of drag and drop different images or icons or emojis into whatever type of application you're discussing at that moment. Of course, it's great for SEL. In our district, we've recently changed that to skills for learning and life, or life and learning. We're not saying social emotional learning, but for those of you who still use that terminology, you can relate. You know, it's a great way to kind of gauge your students, how they're feeling before you start on a lesson. And we can do the same thing with our adult learners too. So this next one, another whole class whiteboard. And this particular one, we want to see how you feel, or what your level of comfort is with using Lumio with adult learners. So we have this weather report here. Are you confident and experienced with the sunshine, or do you have some scattered showers and you're looking for more guidance and support? Maybe that's why you're here today. You want some ideas. So go ahead and drag your weather anywhere on the map, just so we can kind of gauge where our audience is feeling about using Lumio with adult learners. So we have some here looking for more guidance and help. Good. Some that are learning and they want to use it more. So we like that. Very nice. Again, just a way for you to see where your learners are. In this case, how Leigh's showing who put which, whether in which spot. In a classroom, or even in a professional development, you could always call on that participant and say, so tell us a little bit more. When have you used it? What are you looking to learn more about? Just a way for you to kind of engage your audience and get a little bit more information, so you know which direction to guide your presentation in. The next couple of slides you're going to see, you'll have a copy of these when you have the file to add to your own library. But really what we put here for you are just the tools you need to create something similar to this on your own. You're obviously going to add that activity with that blue plus sign. You can find an activity within the Lumio library, or you can create your own from scratch. In this case, I had one that I had made in a Google Slides presentation, particularly the emoji one. And I had used it in a virtual training where the teachers were able to talk about them together. I've used it in a face-to-face one. In this particular case, they can drag those party hats right to that emoji that they're feeling connected with. I use the hats and obviously the weather symbols as those infinitely cloned items. And you can find them in the menu of the images. What I have found is sometimes they don't have the blank background, and I've had to download my own. So I like them when they don't have a background. I don't want the white box around them. So if you can have one that doesn't have a background, that's great. Otherwise, you can import your own and then just pull it from your own, select your own images and upload them. And that's what I did in the case of the party hats and the weather.
Thank you, Noel.
Yeah.
Good info.
And here you see, this is what Leigh is controlling on her end. So before we started in this activity, she created this into, well, I made it into a whole class whiteboard, but she was able to share it on her end so that we can all actively participate at the same time. There's also that ability for me as a teacher or presenter to see individually how participants responded. So it could be an individual handout, or we could break people up into small groups and have you all kind of work on your own image together. So there's a variety of options, whether you're using it for adult learners or in your classroom. And then this is just an example. Leigh shared this. You can turn it so that everyone can edit, but then when you want students or your participants to pause, you can shut off the editing. Another thing I didn't point out when I was making it, you really want to remember to lock down your items. So as you're adding different text boxes and things like that, you want to make sure that you've locked them down, because while students are in there dragging hats to their emojis, they can also be moving other images around if they're not locked in place. And then the other example here is how Leigh was showing you how you can check to see which participants posted which ideas.
And just because they're adult learners does not mean they're not going to mess around with the lock situation. They will mess around with those images. Even as adults, we sometimes click on that and hit it. So
yes,
thank you,
yes.
Noel. We are going to go into Shout It Out. It's probably one of my favorite. It's another collaborative brainstorming space where you can have ideas, connections, all of that displayed for everyone to see. So some ways that Palm Beach County and ways that I have seen it used is summer plans. All of our teachers are coming back soon and they're saying, hey, your leadership is asking, what did you do over summer? Kind of like that icebreaker. Recap of what they've learned. We do have, I feel like it's a revolving door. We've got new textbook adoptions, and maybe they looked at new standards or alignments. Maybe that administrator puts out a shout it out and asks, hey, what did you learn that's different from last year? Or what do you like about that new adoption? Like we talked about the SLL or SEL as well. How are you feeling this year? You know, even as adult learners, we need to see how they're coming in at. If they're coming in that they're stressed for the year, or they had maybe a death in the family, or, you know, everything's piling on top of them, we probably know having a full first day of trainings back, they probably didn't pay attention as much as we liked. And again, that's getting kind of a formative assessment on our adult learners. Strategies to support classroom instruction. I used to work as a math teacher in middle school, and it was really great to see as a team. We would say, oh, integers is coming up, and we would actually plan out tips, tricks, things that worked, acronyms at one point, and we would all just shout it out so that we're leaving with some ideas that actually help other teachers work within our classroom. And then behavior management. Have you ever seen middle school? So yes, we are always looking for different ways to improve that behavior. And sometimes your neighbor might have a great idea like champs, or the sticker chart works for the elementary and they share that. So it's a really good way to just collaborate and brainstorm together. So we are going to try one out. And this is kind of something that you are going to see as the topic would be for an educator. So the question that you'll see on your screen is, what suggestions do you have for recognizing and celebrating student and staff achievements? So you can see it's broken up into two different responses. You'll have a response that you're putting inside the student category and one that you're placing in the staff category. As you are submitting those responses, they will show up on my screen. So I'm going to give it a hot minute and can't wait to see some of these responses. And again, I hope I learned something on how to celebrate staff or student achievements. Recognition on school show. Ooh, that's cute. Stickers. I'm guessing that's elementary. I don't know how that middle school and high schoolers will rock it, but hey, morning announcements, fantastic. As you can see, these great ideas are not only exciting and engaging for myself, it's exciting for other educators to learn and get ideas that work for others. I can always move these, as you can see here. I can click on them and broadcast it to the class or the staff recognition, board weekly email, term email. I can, okay, so this one say, I don't like it. If you're educator, sometimes we mess up, you can throw it over to the trash can over to the left. So you don't even have to worry about that. So again, sometimes as adults, we enter in the wrong thing or we don't like it. I can throw it to the trash. But again, this is showing all great ideas that educators can take away right on the fly. We know that if we go into someone else's classroom, we are looking at those posters and be like, man, I need that. This is kind of the same thing. You'll grab those great ideas, bring it into the school year. Perfect. Okay. So like Noel had, we want to make sure that you know how to create one of these on your own. The shout it out with the plus button, you'll see the little box that says shout it out. What you saw on my screen was categories. I actually made it separate so that when you answered in, you had one answer per category. You can randomize it. If you were just asking, how are you feeling? Or what are your summer plans? That would be random, just on a board. You can actually have them upload not just text, but you can actually have them allowed to upload images. You can have how many responses. In this case, I wanted you to respond one response in each category. You can toggle that. And as adult learners, most of the time we're okay with showing our names. With students, it might hide them, but it all depends to gauge your audience before you start. In the background, as you saw, I had the Lumio Palooza. I don't know, what's that, confetti? I have to do the hand motion with that. It's needed. That was, again, a custom background, which you can always import or browse the ones that they have there, or you can select the classic theme. And I'm going to hand it over to Dan to take it away.
All right, thanks, Leigh. So moving on to another tool in Lumio that's great for staff meetings is using some of the gamification tools that are included. The one we're going to highlight today is rank order, but there are other ones that could work great, like super sort or even matching. Could be great ways to get a little bit more fun for the staff. As well as like a monster quiz, maybe over a topic that you've been doing. Everybody loves monster quiz, no matter whether you're young or old. But in this particular thing, rank order, if you've never used it before, it's for ranking or sequencing. And it can be open-ended or it can have a set of right or wrong answers. So that gives a lot of flexibility for how you'd like to use it. You can use text or images. And you can also have a dashboard to review the submissions afterwards. So we're going to model some of that here in just a little bit. But also you can customize this with themes or with your own custom background, similar like how you could add a background to shout it out. And how we might use this. So great examples that we came up with, but we'd love to hear from you guys in the chat. Would be maybe there's new school or district policies and you want people to maybe rank them in the order that they think they're most important or how they're going to impact the school. You could do some content review for teachers that are new to a subject area. You could get feedback on pretty much anything using a scale. Like I know in my school, we were at one point deciding whether to do recess before lunch and after lunch, so you want to hear from staff, a lot of times they do, voting on something with like little dots or stickers. This is a way they can kind of rank things and what they think is most important. Similar on that same line, their opinion or their preference on like PD topics that you might have coming up for that year. A lot of times you're trying to decide, should I send out a Google form, or you could just do this live in your staff meeting. Hey, here are some PD topics we're thinking of. What's everybody's feedback on how they would rank them as far as what's going to have the most impact on their teaching. And then also another way to check for understanding, like maybe they just had to do a training and there's a specific steps they need to follow to complete something. This would be a way for you to kind of check their understanding. Like maybe it's for code red drills or for a fire drill. What are the order of the things you need to do? Because everybody has their procedures and things set up. So just lots of different ways to make it a little more fun for the staff. So the one we have for you guys, you can hit start once you see it on your screen there. Is to rank the advantages of game-based learning based on how impactful you think it is to student learning and understanding. So a lot of people kind of wonder like, oh, how, adding gamification to my lesson, what kind of impact is that going to have? So we're just curious what you guys think. Is it the feedback that you get? Is it the engagement that the students have? Is it that competitiveness that gets the kids excited about learning? And also this could even be for the adults that might be doing it. Does it provide student voice? Is that what's most impactful? Or the fact that it's immersive or reinforcing skills? So what do you think is most impactful about gamification? And you can kind of put them in, you can, as you can see, Leigh's modeling there in and out. You can change your answers kind of as you're doing it. In this view progress, which is essentially the teacher dashboard, we can see that like 3 people haven't started. We have 14 that are still working on it. 8 have completed. And you can click show results actually on the right, actually go back to the overview. And if you hit show results, we can start to see, the most frequent answers, correct or incorrect. Now I'm in hindsight, I'm trying to remember. I believe I left this open-ended, so it shouldn't have any correct or incorrect. But if we go to student progress, we can actually see, so we are going to show what you guys maybe have said. We could pick somebody that's finished. I didn't finish it, so you can't pick me. But we can actually see the order, what you think is most important. And this stuff stays in the Lumio file. So what I would recommend, like if you're doing a PD with multiple groups of people, is just make a new copy of your file for another session, and always keep these sessions so that way you can always look back at what participants answered. Or if it's for a staff meeting, put the date of that staff meeting. Because if you were going to use the same file again, you'd have to reset and clear all your results to have somebody else do it. So that's how the best way really in Lumio right now is just to make a copy. And I think Leigh can show you that just by clicking the 3 lines at the top left. In Lumio, you have that option just to make a copy. You can also do it from your Lumio dashboard. But that's a great way to kind of reuse these files over and over again, or sometimes even just an activity that you might be doing. And like the other ones, we have this, how simple it is to add rank order. You click on the plus when you're editing. You choose game-based activities and choose rank order. As you can see there in the picture, you can type text or you can add images. Like I worked with early childhood, so I put like the steps for brushing your teeth, for instance. They'd have to drag them all in the correct order. You can choose there on the right whether it checks answers instantly when prompted or don't check. That's what keeps it open-ended. And then you have those different ranking labels like highest to lowest or most important, least important, first or last. You can kind of customize it all you want. And of course, like I said, you can change that background or choose from one of the many themes that come with it. All right, and remember, there are other games too, but rank order is the one that I thought just worked great for staff meetings. Our next area that we'd like to see you guys try to work into your staff meetings or PD are graphic organizers and group workspaces. So like we mentioned earlier, gone are the days hopefully of chart paper on the table and writing it all out with marker and sticking them up around the media center. Now you can put smart panels or boards or projectors and display your Lumio file and use group workspaces for all the different tables or departments or grade levels. So what a group workspace does is it's a collaborative brainstorming space to instantly capture ideas and connections. And the participants have all the tools that you've been seeing on the left side where you can draw, you can add from the gallery, you can add text, you can add equations. And instead of having a big single workspace like we did with the hats and the weather, you have smaller groups, which allows you maybe not to get so cluttered. If you have a large staff, you don't want everybody participating on one space. It just gets a little bit crazy. It's just like you wouldn't want to get everybody working on that one piece of chart paper. You split them up into groups. So it's great for those jigsaw activities, recapping what they've learned, social emotional feedback, strategies for supporting classroom instruction. They're really great for reviewing a PD and what people have kind of got out of it or what they would do with it. And also behavior management strategies like we talked about for a shout it out, sharing like this is how I handle different things and whether it's rewards or consequences. So on this one, Leigh's going to model, you click set it up and you get to choose the number of groups or teams. We have about 24 people, so we could do like 5's fine. It'll randomly split everybody up. So if you do have plans to like in a staff meeting to put people by table, you might just give them like a quick, everybody join and then give them a quick break while you reorganize everybody. It should only take you a few minutes maybe to organize everybody in the correct spots. Or if you don't mind it being random, it just sort of places them in spots. Of course, we always know there's some teachers you don't want to put together, those ones that have the rooms next to each other. But go ahead and hit start workspace, and now you will be actually put into your group workspace. And what we would like for you guys to provide us some feedback on is some of the things that you've seen today. Like, how would you use a whole class or group workspace with adult learners? Or how would you use a shout it out with adult learners? Or how might you use a rank order? And then I've also used the infinite cloner. There's a star down at the bottom of each group workspace where you can drag a star if you agree with something that somebody else has put on there. So to add content, you just click on the A on the left side, and you can type your text and put it under the correct column. And we'd love to give you a few minutes just to do this. So it'll be a little bit of quiet time just for a moment. We'd love to hear from you guys. And also we're going to go through some of these so that everybody can see them. Just like you would in a staff meeting, you kind of go to each person's chart paper and have them share out. I'll share out a little bit from each group. So we'd love to see any feedback, ideas that may have come up as you guys are going through this training. We'll sort of just gauge by the workspaces. If we don't see a lot of action, we will move on, but we're wanted to give you guys a chance to share some of this. Oh, there we go. We got some action on this one. So yeah, grade level collaboration on a topic for all those group workspaces. Yep, kicking off faculty meetings with the shout it out, schedule changes with shout it out, a PLC agenda. Yep, because
I like the academic goals for rank. That's a new one. That's a pretty great idea.
That is awesome.
Hey, I'm not going to even the one below it, ranking on school lunch for faculty days. That is just as important as academic goals. Perfect.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't always have to be the serious stuff, although lunch can be kind of serious. Prioritizing PD topics, how we differentiate instruction. And one cool thing about Lumio, if you guys didn't know, it's really easy to modify your text. If Leigh clicks on that corner icon there on different instructions, she can just drag and make it bigger. No, just go to that text that you're on right now and click on the bottom right. Oh, you clicked in it now. Basically, if you click on any of them, rather than highlight and change, just click on one and grab the corner. It lets you just sort of change the font size without having to go in and like choose a certain font size. Just a nice way to kind of, maybe emphasize something or for yourself to make it bigger. And I see some people pick some other fonts. You can also cycle through the groups up at the top right. There's little arrows, which is a nice way to kind of move from group to group. Yep, wellness checks, icebreakers. Yeah, parking lot for questions in a training. That's a great use for a whole class whiteboard. A lot of times we do, like, people literally put sticky notes on butcher paper. It's like, well, instead of those, and you can make your whole class whiteboard have sticky notes, for them to write on, just to make it kind of look like that. There's some templates in the Lumio library, even with the sticky notes in there. Yeah, locations for fun gatherings. So this is great. I appreciate all of you guys participating and adding. Fundraising activities for the PTA. Yeah, it could be you have a Lumio training coming up and you want to find out what games they'd like you to teach them about, or if you'd want to focus on, handouts and workspaces, or focus on games and FET or other features.
I love that, selecting a grade level. I think that could go in rank order too. If an administrator wanted to kind of gauge what grade level do you want next year and gave them a rank order, and they could put them in the order of their preference. Just
save a lot of paper.
Way. Yep, a unique way to do that.
There's some really good ideas.
Yep, definitely awesome. And remember, long as you don't delete this file or reset the activities, you can always just go back, go to these pages and review these group workspaces. Another nice thing about a group workspace is you can post the link to this lesson in a Google Classroom or another space where maybe your PLC keeps information and people could add to it later. As long as they were in that group workspace when you started it, they can go back and still add to it after the fact. But they do have to be present to be put in the group workspace. It's
I
sort of a
definitely
live.
think that steps and procedures is important. It just made me think like, man, if you know your code red or your code drills, do you know what steps you need to take? Like, that's a really good idea. You guys are on the ball. All right, we're going to give it about 30 more seconds for you to input, and then we're going to move on.
All right. So similar to our other activities, we wanted you to have the resources to know how to do this. Often we see a PD and they kind of show you how they did it, but then after the fact, you don't really have it. You don't remember what they did. So now that you're going to have this file at the end of this session, we'll give you the link for this Lumio file to add to your library. You'll have all these directions for, just like the other activities, hitting the plus, going to graphic organizers. I chose a 3-column graphic organizer and modified it. So you can always go in and modify anything from the library. So unlock text, change the text, remove things, resize, add your own text. You can even add audio instructions, as you see here on the right, and you just click on that magic wand and decide, do you want it to be a group workspace or a whole class whiteboard or an individual handout? There could be something in your staff meeting you want individual feedback from everybody in the staff, and just make this something an individual handout. They will not see each other's. Only you as the owner of the document would get to see each of those individual handouts. And so appreciate that. And then there's also these couple of other things for just getting set up. You click setup, you choose the number of groups or teams. You used to be able to choose one team that before we had whole class whiteboard in Lumio, but now that we have whole class whiteboard, you would just choose that. Just reminders on how to drag the names, how to start the workspace, reset the activity or end the activity. Maybe you don't want any more feedback. You don't want people going and adding to it anymore. You can end the activity, but it'll still keep the results there. And that's all from me. I think we have Asha do some of our closing remarks.
Awesome. Thank you all for sharing your expertise with us. It was really great seeing the ways that you could make your PD sessions more engaging and interactive by using some of these Lumio tools. And I know for me, I usually look at it from the lens of like an educator working with young learners, but it was really nice seeing it for adult learners. So thank you all. There are 3 things that we are asking the participants to do next. We would love if you could share what you learned from this session on social media. There was a graphic shared earlier, but we're going to drop it in the chat for you again. And if you're posting on social media, please tag us at Lumio Social and include the hashtags Lumio Challenge and Lumio Palooza. There are also resources to support you along your Lumio journey. That link will be placed in the chat as well. And it's just a link to the slide that the presenters are sharing on their screen right now. So you'll have direct access to our Lumio Academy webinars that you could register for in the fall, as well as the Lumio Ambassador community. And then last but not least, we do have a promotion going on right now for our Lumio Spark plan, which is an upgraded tier of Lumio that allows you to do some additional neat things. And this promotion enables you to buy 1 license and get 1 free. So you'll see that link in the chat as well. Follow-up resources and recordings will be coming to your inbox early next week so that you can review anything you missed or watch sessions that you weren't able to attend live. And just want to say thank you again for joining us in this Lumio Palooza session. And thank you, Leigh, Dan, and Noel for sharing your expertise. We hope to see you all at a future webinar.
Thank you, everyone.
And we do have a survey link being added as well. So once you complete that survey, you will have access to a PD certificate. So there's something in it for you as well.
Yes, thank you guys for joining. And yeah, we just flooded you with links. So hopefully give you a moment to kind of go through the chat and open those in all the different tabs. So yeah, nothing like getting hammered with a whole bunch. But one of those was our link to our Lumio lesson. I will post that again just so it's down at the bottom for you. You can click and add that lesson of ours with those little help pages. And thanks for that feedback in the chat that you guys appreciated the step-by-steps. I know like I've done a lot of PD and so my teammates, and we know that teachers, anybody who's doing PD or learning something new, they like to kind of have those steps to refer back to. So I'm glad that you guys found those to be helpful.
And if you do have any last minute questions, by all means, enter it in the chat under the 1,000 links. We will get to that. But thank you for being here.
All right. So I'll go ahead and end the session. Thank you, Leigh, Dan, and Noel again. And thank you all for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.